You get very soft. So about 2 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, what a wonderful start, huh? And many thanks to the Music Haven Student String Quartet, which will be playing some wonderful music for us, I know, this morning. Good morning. My name is David Jones. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm a member of the worship committee, and I'll be your worship associate this morning. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are in your life's journey, you are welcome here. Welcome to this live and live streaming service of the Unitarian Society of New Haven. We are a diverse, multi-generational faith community which inspires lives of compassion and generosity, nurtures spiritual growth, cultivates transformative connections, and creates a more just world. This is a congregation that believes Black Lives Matter, that every person has the right to affirm their own gender identity and expression, and that all people are inherently worthy. If you're joining us for the first time, we're so glad you've taken this time to be with us. The email address to the Connection team is membership@usnh.org, and you can visit the usnh.org site to find out more about us. And there's also a corner for new visitors in the back of the social hall. As part of expanding our welcoming circle, we want to remind parents with young children that we have an area set up with some toys and some things for kids to play with quietly in the upper rear of the sanctuary. Also, some art stuff is up there if kids like that. And if needed, parents or anyone who wants to move around during the service can go to the social hall, which is wired for sound, through the double doors at the rear of the sanctuary. And we also hope you'll join us for coffee and conversation after the service in the social hall. Just a couple of announcements today. After today's service, we'll have an opportunity to write cards to our pen pals, Lester Rico and Miguel Caballero, who are Unitarian Universalist youth on Negros Island in the Philippines. USNH sponsors their education, and Jesse Greist, right there, will be sending a care package to them soon. Stop by the table in the social hall for more details and to write them cards. This is a wonderful thing that we do, so please do support it. On behalf of the stewardship team, we remind you that it is pledge season. You can make your pledge online or pick up a pledge form at the stewardship table in the social hall. The stewardship pledge needs your pledges by next Sunday, March 12th, or otherwise they will come after you. I'll just warn you. All right, and now we'd like to invite up for our stewardship testimonial this morning, Carol Wade.
Good morning. My name is Carol Wade. My pronouns are she and her. The Dalai Lama has said, before we can generate compassion and love, it is important to have a clear understanding of what we understand compassion and love to be. In simple terms, compassion and love can be defined as positive thoughts and feelings that give rise to such essential things in life as hope, courage, determination, and inner strength. In the Buddhist tradition, compassion and love are seen as two aspects of the same thing. Compassion is the wish for another being to be free from suffering, and love is wanting them to have happiness. Caring for one another is a core spiritual practice for UUs. Pastoral care is the term we use for the ways we offer support and compassion to each other in community. The pastoral care team of USNH provides an organized approach to respond with compassion to those who are experiencing illness, injury, traumatic life events, or even joyful happenings. At the present time, we are led by our wonderful leader, Reverend Stephen, and consist of Pat Trotta, Mary Losi, Susan Meredith, and me. We follow Reverend Stephen's lead in responding with compassion and care to those who need a little extra help with meals, phone calls, cards, and some visits. Occasionally, we're able to help with rides and doctor visits. The pastoral care team wants to thank all of you who volunteer when called upon to bring meals or make calls or visits and care about each other. Listening to others and caring about their needs creates a bond among our UU congregation. Why did I join USNH and specifically this group? I was one of the beneficiaries of a pastoral care team 4 years ago when my loving husband Dan was ill and subsequently died. Dan was very involved at USNH, and the outpouring of love from this congregation made a huge difference in my life. I decided that I needed to make a commitment to join this loving congregation. Sharon Salzberg says, that is what compassion does. It challenges our assumptions, our sense of self-limitation and worthlessness, of not having a place in the world. As we develop compassion, our hearts open. Please join me in giving to this compassionate and caring USNH congregation. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Good morning. I am Sunny. I am the ministerial intern here at USNH, and my pronouns are she and her. I call us to this sacred service of a search for Sabbath, and we light the chalice with words from poet, Black liberationist and womanist theologian and community organizer Tricia Hersey. Hersey is the founder of the NAP ministry, like NAP, an organization that examines rest as a form of resistance. The invocation I'm about to share comes from Hersey's book, Rest is Resistance, which is a call to action and manifesto for those who are sleep deprived, searching for justice, longing to be liberated, and wanting to get out of the oppressive grip of grind culture. The doors of the Nap Temple are open. Won't you come in? This is an invitation for weary souls to rest. This is a resistance. This is a protest. This is a counter narrative to the lie that we all aren't doing enough. We are enough. This is a counter narrative to the lie that our worth is tied to the grind of capitalism and the lie of white supremacy. You are enough simply by being alive. Thank you for living. Thank you for resisting. Thank you for creating. Thank you for dreaming. Thank you for resting. We believe that our healing can visit us while we are napping, while we are resting, while we are sleeping, while we are slowing down. We believe that naps provide a dream envisioning space to invent, to create, to heal, to imagine. This is what resistance looks like. Won't you come? This is a resistance. This is a protest. And so it is.
Thank you, Carol, and thank you, Sunny. At last, I have found my cause. Thank you so much. In your order of service are the words of our covenant. Please join together as a loving, compassionate congregation with the words you find there. We covenant together to create and nurture a culture of respect and kindness, and to engage in the spiritual and everyday practice of loving more generously. To this end, we will strive to be open, value differences, listen deeply, use kind language, speak our truths, work with conflict, seek humor and joy. And in that spirit, please rise for hymn number 12, O Life That Makes All Things New. Number 12.
Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jesse Greist. I'm the Director of Lifespan Religious Education here. My pronouns are he and him, and I'd like to invite you into a place of imagination. So if you will, please imagine a place, a town, a village, if you will, where the center of that village is centered around a communal well. A place that everyone draws the water of life, and everyone comes out day after day to bring forth water from that well, to drink, to bathe, to wash clothes, to wash their cars, and a million other little things that we don't even think about that require the use of water. Now, the tradition in this place, for as long as anyone can remember, is that 5 days a week, people come out and draw water from this well. On the 6th and the 7th day, people come out and only get enough water just to drink. But all other activities are suspended. People take the day and there's no laundry, no washing of dishes, no washing of cars. Maybe some people still bathe. But they give that well a rest. And on those days, everyone takes a rest. Now, as time goes by in this place, bit by bit, life changes. As new technology and new ideas move into this place, people begin to fill their lives with something other than the daily activities of old. People begin to work just a little bit more each day, stay at work just a little bit longer. There starts to be a kind of a pressure to show up and to do more, to be more. People begin to share this idea that if they want to be more, they have to do more. And no one quite knows where it comes from or how it happens, but bit by bit, the workday grows longer. And before you know it, just a few people in this place are beginning to work on the rest day. Suddenly, there begins to be soccer practice on the day of rest. There begins to be play practice on the day of rest. There begins to be choir practice on the day of rest. There begins to be invitations to work or to do or to play or to be. And as those things manifest, as those days of rest become days of work, people begin to show up at the well and to pull water that once was not pulled from that well. And then something very strange begins to happen. One day, when they pull water up in a bucket from that well, the water comes up a little bit dirty, full of mud. Nobody understands. How can it be possible that the water is starting to become dirty and full of mud? But they still continue and they pull up more water, and bit by bit, the water comes up dirtier and dirtier every time. And day after day, they continue to draw from the same well, and the same thing happens until, of course, one day they find that the well is dry. They cannot pull water anymore. For what they did not realize is that from time immemorial, perhaps the place where that idea of taking a day or two of rest each week originated from within earth itself. Underneath that well, there is an aquifer, and that aquifer needed that day of rest, those days of rest, to refill with water as much as the people above ground did. And without it, earth itself began to cry out and to show that it needed a Sabbath, a day of rest as well. Now, I don't know what happened in that place, but I know what's happening in this place. I see it every day. So many of us are beginning to fill our time and to draw from our own wells more and more and more. And my friends, my fear is that one day we too will find our wells dried up. So let us take this moment to bring ourselves into that place of rest, to bring ourselves into a place where the aquifers of our own lives have the time, the space, the moments to refill in whatever way is meaningful for you. May it be so. And I would like to invite any children that are present up to a special children's chapel with me at the end of the upstairs hall. Parents are, of course, welcome to accompany, especially if you're here for the first time. Let us sing the children out of this space and into the children's chapel with Go Now in Peace. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the Spirit of God surround you.
Ours is a sharing community where our joys are amplified, a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. While there are no written joys or sorrows this morning, we want to remember the private joys and sorrows that reside in people's hearts.
For our meditation today, I invite you to read along with me, number 524 in your gray hymnal. It comes from Starhawk. And then after we read together, for those who wish to participate, we'll have a moment of silence, and please feel free to stay seated for the reading. Earth Mother, Star Mother, you who are called by 1,000 names, may all remember we are cells in your body and dance together. You are the grain and the loaf that sustains us each day. And as you are patient with our struggles to learn, so shall we be patient with ourselves and each other. We are radiant light and sacred dark, the balance. You are the embrace that heartens and the freedom beyond fear. Within you, we are born, we grow, live, and die. You bring us around the circle to rebirth. Within us, you dance forever. And now a moment of silence, followed by a musical response.
Every week, we lift up the spiritual value of generosity by taking an offering for the ministries of this congregation. While the music plays, you can give by navigating to the usnh.org website and making a donation, or text GIVE to the number in your order of service. And those here in person can make donations on their way out of the sanctuary at the end of the service. Of course, donations in any amount are welcome. The offering will now be gratefully received. Again, our thanks to the Music Haven Student String Quartet. Allegedly, they're students, but I'm wondering if Bill didn't slip a few pros in there from the orchestra. I don't know. You guys are sounding pretty good. Thank you. Our responsive reading this morning is number 520 in your hymnal. It is also, I believe, printed in your order of service, if you would like to look there instead. So I will start us off, and then you respond. This is from the Tewa Indians of North America. O our mother, the earth, O our father, the sky. We children are waiting, and then weave for us a garment of brightness. May the fringes be the falling rain. Thus weave for us a garment of brightness, that we may walk fittingly where grass is green. And now we'll invite the choir to come forward.
What more
Well, I trust everyone recovered from last week's half-an-hour sermon on white Christian nationalism. I got over it about Wednesday. I was doing some research in a play I'd like to write someday about the relationship of America's great heretic, Mark Twain, and his wonderful friendship with Reverend Joe Twitchell. And it is said that occasionally Twain would go and hear his friend preach. And one day, he got intensely interested in the sermon. And then at the close, he ambled down to his friend, and then his drawl greeted him, "Joe, this must not happen again. When I go to church, I go for a good rest and a quiet nap. And today I haven't been able to get a single wink. I tell you it won't do, and it must not happen again." We come to congregations for many, many reasons. It's hard to believe how many. Mostly for Unitarian Universalists, it's about the search from birth to death and beyond. The sense that life's mysteries draw us on, ever more revealing, ever more connecting, and deeper still to go. The spiritual life is not one of a static reality, but rather of a constant shifting, unveiling, and revealing of truths that are being born all around us all the time, and born within us and through us. So we don't merely find the truth, we become a truth. The truths that only we can possibly reveal. And so here we are on a Sunday morning, one of hundreds, and you in the pew, one of thousands upon thousands around the world. There's nothing absolutely magical about any one Sunday, but they are each unique. It will never be replicated. It will never come again. This day, this Sabbath morning, is therefore precious beyond our knowing, for such as the world created, and for you and for me. The confluence of lives that will never be gathered in quite this way again. So why are we here? Well, I mean, how seriously can a minister ask that question? Shouldn't I, of all people, know that? But it's also a mystery to me. I know we come for many things, for solidarity, for support, for witness, for friendship, for music, for silence. It's 100 reasons that we are drawn here. But I also think that we are drawn because each of us, and I share this, we are in search of Sabbath. Now, asking about our Sunday ritual here in this space is about, like the old story of the little fish swimming from place to place, plaintively asking, "I want to find the sea. Where is the sea?" Well, it's all around you, little fish. And the answer to the search for Sabbath is it's all around us, little ones. Sabbath time surrounds and fills us. But it's not as simple as it appears, and each of us keenly know this. When I was young, I lived in Tennessee, where laws were pretty strict. In my lifetime, those laws and regulations were relaxed. Things changed. Many things changed. What I learned along the way is that the old regulations didn't matter. They weren't important. But if we are in search of Sabbath, we have to steer ourselves, to orient ourselves to a new understanding of time. It's not about the old regulations, the old edicts. The Jewish people had 39 specific kinds of work that you could not do on a Sabbath. But you know what? Even they came to understand that in the end, something more mysterious was going on than merely rest and repose. We'll come back to that. But in the surface, my instructor, my hero, is Abraham Heschel. In 1944, he came to America from Poland. He was a great scholar of mysticism, of the Jewish prophetic tradition, an amazing writer. He first went to Cincinnati and then ended his days in New York, and he was a really important figure and friend to Martin Luther King Jr. And he truly is one of the people that I follow. And he talked about Sabbath as being something that he called architecture in time. For him, Sabbath was not a religious observance. It was a spiritual discipline, because we had to learn how to eke out a space within the architecture of time for peace. He hated the strictness and the strictures, the 39 definitions of what you could not do. He felt that there had to be a middle way between a secular life where it's ollie and free and the old sense that Sabbath was somehow a binding. He said it wasn't about the legalisms. Sabbath was not made for laws. Sabbath, he said, was made for refreshment, for freedom. And that's why I think this is a real good Unitarian Universalist message. It's also a very good message for us because we are kind of pull yourself up by bootstraps kind of folks. Sonny and I are going to be doing a presentation on the Caring Church after this, and we got lots going on. We have lots going on every single Sunday. I love it. It's great. But maybe we too need to pause once in a while and think about what is this mystery that's going on around us of Sabbath? Because the material world on the other 6 days will never stop asking us to work hard. And indeed, as noble as work is, it will never stop trying to enfold us and even tyrannize us. We live in an age of efficiency experts, how to get more water out of the stone, right? The Sabbath is a brief respite in order to understand how to be free. When the Jews came in contact with the Roman Empire, they made fun of this concept. Juvenal, Seneca, other Roman philosophers, they said, "What is this nonsense? What is this? Every day should be a day of work." Abraham Heschel, so many years later, told us that we can find holiness in time. Finding the holy, because in the end, time is all we have. It's more than just the shutting off of secular demands. It's not just turning away from work. It is a concept that he called menua, which is translated as restfulness in celebration. Sabbath was therefore a relief, yes, from work, and yes, also from sadness, and from anger, and even from the work of grief, he said. Most of all, it was relief from burdens. On the seventh day, you and I try to give the world a soul. He said 6 days a week, we wrestle with the world. On the Sabbath, we especially care for the seed of eternity planted in you. The world has our hands, but our soul belongs somewhere else. Now, it's true, Genesis says that Yahweh completed creation in 7 days. And supposedly, quote, God blessed the seventh day and made it holy. But what does make it holy? It isn't just that everything's been made. It is the blessing. And to look at it and say, this is good. This is good. That's what it means for the holy. It's not just refraining from work. It is learning to offer a blessing of goodness. My professor at Harvard, Harvey Cox, said that the fourth commandment could be translated from the Hebrew as, yes, God's resting, but literally the translation is to catch one's breath. To catch one's breath. Oftentimes when we come together, what are the words that are often said from this pulpit? It is good to be together. That's the blessing. That's what we offer each other when we look each other in the eye. That's what we offer each other when there's food to be served and we share soup together. That's what happens when you see an old friend you haven't seen for months. That's what happens when people come here and their souls are worn and filled with grief. And in this space, and in this moment of time, we may all enter into Sabbath. Now, Sabbath wasn't just the bestowing, as the Romans did, of bread in circuses. Even though you can celebrate a Sabbath meal by candlelight and bread and joyful conversation. Heschel said of Sabbath, call it a delight. I love that. Call it a delight. Yeah, that's a long distance from the boring legislature laws of my Tennessee upbringing. I was never told as a kid that Sunday was about joy. I never knew that it was about freedom. I didn't understand that it was about blessing. So what's created on the seventh day? It's not stars and planets. It's not animals. It's not humans. No, what is being created when all else is done is tranquility and serenity, repose and peace, and as Sonny reminds us, naps. Heschel said it is an exodus from tension, a liberation from our own muddledness. I love that expression, our own muddledness. Who knew? Not even I, a minister who conducts Sunday services across more than 45 years, and even as a kid in Tennessee as an acolyte in an Episcopal congregation. You'd think I would have the Sunday thing down. But it's hard. These words are beautiful, but it's actually really hard. And that's why it is, in the end, a spiritual discipline. It shakes up the person to be able to accept tranquility and serenity and blessing in your life. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but it is so beautiful, and it's so needed, and it's so necessary, and they are very liberating. It is easier said than done. All across this world, clergy look at each other and say, how can we get more people to come to congregation? And I think we'll have more activities and pile on more and more stuff, more programs. It's hard to just say maybe what we're longing for is just the pleasure of being together in silence and to be given the gift of music to reinforce joy in our gathering and freedom in our being together. Celebration to sustain us for a week to come. We can be intentional about being Sabbath people. And you do a pretty good job of it. I like the way you celebrate each time you come together. I love that. It is an evocation of something that I did not understand as a younger man and as a younger minister. In the end, all these things about Sabbath I've tried to convey to you is about letting go. And when you do that, you're ready for letting in, for peace. What is Sabbath? Where do we search for it? Well, we're very lucky because we haven't far to go. Just look around. Look around at each other. We, present, are Sabbath. We are the light. We are the bread. We are the blessing. Where the holy dwells. Amen. And precisely in that loving spirit, one of my very favorite hymns, please rise as you are willing and able, 126, Come, Thou Font of Every Blessing, 126.
Please join me now as we recite the words in your order of service as we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Amen.
Now may peace, which passes all understanding, keep your hearts and minds in the knowledge of love, and may this peace be yours in the week to come. And now the blessing of music. You're back up.